So shall we just go on and discuss about the agenda points that we had thought about discussing today?
Yeah, carry on, Anshul. Just take it forward, and then we can discuss it. People have questions as we go. Since it's a small group, it'll be quite easy to answer. And
so, Gaurav and Pramod, can I request you to take us through your work that you've done regarding India being the furniture sourcing hub for the world?
Sure.
Well, I don't know for the world, Anshul, but at least we should get on the map. I think at the moment, I think that the furniture market is about 100 billion, and India is 500 million of that, if we're lucky, in terms of exports.
Gaurav, you can start with how to make beds for the hospitals.
Well, I love those cardboard. Beds they were sharing.
Right.
So do you guys want me to just do the intro?
Please.
Absolutely, please.
Okay, Gaurav, you want me to talk on this slide? Okay, so which slide do you want me to talk on? The next one?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Can you see my screen, everybody?
Yep, screen is visible, thank you. So as you've probably been seeing in the press, as well as a few updates which I have given, on these calls, about 2 months ago, the Commerce Ministry decided that they were going to they wanted to identify sectors for focus development so that those sectors can grow. The objective of the growth is twofold. It is exports in most of the cases, perhaps not air conditioning, but why not air conditioning? India could export to neighboring countries. So the 6 sectors, if I'm recalling right, are furniture, air conditioning. It started as leather footwear, but I think it's now morphing into footwear in general, but I was on some of those calls, but I'm not paying really attention. Electronics, marine products, and food processing. So those are the 6 sectors that have really been identified. So if any of you are active in those sectors, start talking to people in those industries, seeing what's happening. We will, at BAA, I will we have a few footwear people, so we're actually going to share the data that we have with them and see if we can get them onto that committee. So BAA is formally, we're on the Furniture Committee, which is being headed by FICCI in Eastern Zone FICCI. And everything is connected. So the chairperson is the company that owns the two companies. It owns OBT, which is a big rug company based out of Mirzapur. It also owns, and OBT owns a furniture company called Manor and Muse. So that's kind of the indirect connection. But Rudra Chatterjee, who's the chair of the Furniture Committee, is located in Calcutta. So, and he's chairman of Calcutta FICCI Eastern Zone. So that's kind of the reason for that grouping. On our committee, so we have BAA, we have Hetich, we have Godrej, we have CL Gupta, and we have IKEA, and we also have TPCI, and every meeting that's hosted by the government, a few more random people turn up. So there's various people in. So I think what I thought was good to share with all of you, because the objective is to grow the furniture industry in India. We are looking kind of at the Vietnam model, because if we don't follow that model, we will always be smaller, handicraft units scattered around randomly. So the objective is to look at what would be needed. And from what I can ascertain and what our Prime Minister is saying, the idea is to set up hubs which are managed by another entity. The hubs should have excellent transportation availability. The debate at the moment is how close to the port. The proximity to the port is obviously key, because furniture is extremely bulky. Our inland haulage is very, very expensive and also slow. However, the counter argument is labor force. That's not available because our coasts are west, our ports are all west coast. So there's quite a lot of debate on what this should, what the location should be, where it should be, and who should run the ports, who should run these hubs or these furniture parks, as they're being referred to. I know that just yesterday, the Prime Minister got on, was in a meeting and talked about plug and play. What does it mean, plug and play? It means that the infrastructure is all there. So as a furniture manufacturer, you don't have to buy land. You can just go in and lease space. You may have to build your facility, but the big investment is usually is the land, and the land, everything should be provided. So they're looking at, there should be training facilities there. There should be ancillary support facilities there. Of course, electric power and everything. And, perhaps they will look at, accommodation for workers and for labor. So it's kind of a whole new concept for India. We don't typically have very many hubs or parks. The few that have been set up are not very successful yet. So anyway, that's all initial stages. So where we are at the moment, and the focus is going to be wood. It's furniture, home furniture. They're not excluding office furniture, but the focus is home furniture because that's where the massive export market is. And India is a very large country with a growing middle class, so there will also be a domestic market. I'm not sure if we have the statistics, but we can add them, how much India imports in terms of domestic furniture, but there's a significant import. So the idea would be import substitution. India is able to make, and it should be making to world class. The whole idea is that it's not just stuff that's made. I mean, I don't know if you guys know places like Kirti Nagar and even, some of those streets just off Connaught Place. There's one street where I think in the old days, there used to be a lot of furniture making just on the street. So that's the sort of old style. What we're looking at is to make world-class furniture that is at affordable prices, so that people will, the retailers will be stocking made in India rather than importing cheaply from Malaysia, Vietnam, China, as they're doing at the moment. So that is the thing. And because India has a large textile resource, obviously upholstered furniture is very much there. We do have enough foam being made in India. That seems to not be a sticking point. So it's really just, the skill sets and the technology and the know-how. So I think what India is going to need to go very much for is know-how and understanding how to do it. So early stages yet, but there was the meeting with the Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal went very well. He absolutely, said, yes, this is a must. And now the meetings are with the Department of Promotion, DPIIT, so Department Promotion of Industry and Investment and Trade, I think, if I'm getting it right. The department has changed names a few times. It used to be something else, but it's under the Commerce Ministry, and it's very much going to be focusing on how to create an environment. So India now has to create a conducive environment for investment, knowledge sharing, bringing in technology and know-how, and an ability to grow larger factories. They don't all have to be big. I don't think there's going to be any restrictions on size, but the idea is it will be they will be large parks with large players, and India could hopefully become a large player in the world of furniture manufacturing. So I'm going to ask Gaurav and Pramod now to take this forward. Any questions? Any questions from the group so far? If you put them on the chat, then we can just answer them at the end. I think that would be great.
Yeah, ma'am. Last slide is for question and answers.
Oh, great. Okay, thank you, Pramod. Thanks.
Thank you, Christine, for helping us in explaining the project. So the goal is to make India a global furniture hub. It is of international standards. It is of mass production. It's a new scale. Why does the government think that it's a big opportunity for us? Why do they identify only these 6 sectors? So for furniture, the government's approach is we do have a labor cost advantage. For upholstered furniture, we are very competitive in cotton textiles, and we do have a furniture making capability with a differentiated design, but though at a lower scale. And in the last years, there are many retailers knocking on India's doors, large retailers knocking on India's doors and saying they want to retail in India. But one of the biggest challenges that they find to retail in India is that there is no local supply or local production of large scale furniture. So that is also a big opportunity for us as a country.
Here, to take it forward, the total furniture market, global market size is 545 billion US dollars, and that comprises of all furniture. US being the major one, which has 54 billion US dollars of market. And I'm not sure how many of you knows that India is currently at 30 billion US dollars as a market size of the country. So where 80% is unorganized and 20% is only organized, where organized means the retailers online and offline, and the interior designers and all those guys. So taking you through this slide, so 180 to 190 billion is a export opportunity for next coming 8 years from India. That's what is a projection which was shown, and which has been talked about. And current situation is that China is the major one in exporting the furniture, which is 39%, and which is close to 48 billion US dollars. India is total is less than 1% of the total imports which the world is doing. So the idea is to actually take India to a level where maybe we reach to Vietnam level or maybe higher. So that's an idea of this whole project. Good.
So what have we identified as challenges, or what has the committee in FICCI identified as challenges? And I think all of us who are working with furniture and trying to buy furniture in India for the export market are probably well aware of it. Raw material. This is India's biggest disadvantage and also pain point. And the raw material has all the dimensions in it. It is carb certification for the ones who do North America as a market. It is FSC certification. It is carb equivalent for European standards, and its quality of the material, it is the price of the material. So it's a mix of a lot of different things. What the initial study is showing is that raw material disadvantage in India is between 15 to 25% of the total product. That is where we stand. That's what the initial study said. The second thing is scale of operation. And here we must highlight that this is not going to be a handicraft driven furniture that we talk about. It is very large scale production and high speed lines and high volume stuff. I think we already have the smaller niches, the niche furniture that we do, and that's a strength for us. But that's not what the point over here is. The scale of operations is the second disadvantage that we have as a country. The localized supply chains of components, that is another big disadvantage that we have. A lot of us import components, whether that be fitting, drawer slides, other stuff, even sometimes lacquers. We do import that. So that is another 5 to 10% as a disadvantage. Lastly, it's policy support. I think Christine said in the beginning, plug and play, cost of land, ownership of land, cost of capital, ease of doing business, and additional support in the various schemes that we have that contribute to another set of disadvantages.
Yeah, adding to it, currently India is at 61 position in ease of doing business. So in recent months, we have seen the growth. We do not know the right number as of now, but the growth has been seen where we all see that Uttar Pradesh got some people coming in, starting the business. There are so many big companies who are planning to come here. So we are getting very close to where we should be in terms of positioning ourselves in ease of doing business. Okay, and we the initial proposal was to have furniture hubs. So in this whole meeting, the final thing was that we need to set up 3 furniture hubs, and these furniture hubs should be very much near to the port so that it is easy for the logistic imports come in and export goes out. So that was an idea. So the initial stage as a plan would be that setting up first furniture park, which should be ranging between 100 to 300 acres, and the factory sizes currently, as Mrs. Rai said, that it can be any sizes. So we are thinking of having, I mean, the talks are of having 100 containers per month to 1,000 containers a month also. This kind of talks would be there in later stages. So we are also speaking about the number of jobs which would be there in this parks. And within the park, there are a few things which are being talked about, as Mrs. Rai initially said. The furniture manufacturing would be there. The raw material and components availability would be there in these parks. The logistic infrastructure would be made from the factory to the port. That infrastructure would be made by the government. That's help would be done. Testing and testing facilities would be there in such parks where we don't have to send anything to Hong Kong or Noida or something. And the certification is being talked about, and the everything, the carb emission and all those. And more important is training and research would be there in that particular park. So this will actually altogether will be beneficial for our country to mark themselves, position themselves in the world map of furniture manufacturing.
So to give it hands and feet, and to make it workable, and to make it practically implementable, there has been a proposal to divide the big task of getting India on the global map into a long term and a short term. The short term is to create know-how within the country, like Christine was mentioning before, of how to produce, mass produce industrial furniture in a new kind of a environment, in a new kind of a production that India has not done before. So that for that, we are talking about reducing import duty to 0 for all imported components, whether that be solid wood, whether that be FSC and CARB certified panel boards, and drive the Indian plantations towards certification, which are internationally accepted. If FSC is not an option, then there must be something else which the customers ask for. And that is something that we've taken up as a discussion. Somebody has a question? The second part of would be to work with the forestry policy and to create the raw material within the country, to have the availability at local supply, which is going to give us the big push. To do this, of course, we need to also start working already now with skill development and design development and design development skills. And that is something that there's already a buzz about to start doing this at the university levels and in the other places of education.
So here, after all this conversation going for over more than a month now, so we are currently at a discussion where we are talking about the duty structures of furniture which is imported and the raw material which is imported. So the recent talks was that furniture imports when it is imported and the duty is whatever it is currently, it will actually not allow the local manufacturer to make and sell. So plan is to actually see if furniture duty can be increased on the imported products and the manufacturer can produce it. So currently WTO has a duty barrier of 45%, where we cannot go beyond that. And current basic duty is 25% on all the imported furniture. So and raw material in terms of board and everything, there is 18 to 20% of duty, and from Asian countries there is a anti-dumping duty as well, and that is on dollars per CBM. So that is we are in talks that if that can be reduced as well, and furniture duty can be increased so that this whole thing can work. And we spoke about the land feasibility of land wherever it is near the port. It can be Gujarat, it can be Maharashtra. So that is the first plan proposal that the first park need to be there. And the third thing which we are talking about is that what customer needs. That is Indian customer as well as international customers. So in Indian customers, these are big retailers, e-retailers, as well as the offline retailers. So these guys have a demand where they are importing a lot of furniture from outside, and also they are getting the local manufacturers work from here. So that's a need. And for international, why they would come to India, what is there in this? So that is a talks which we are currently doing and taking it to forward, because we know what they are requiring.
The floor is open to questions or comments if we have any. And Christine, if you would like to say something to close.
Christine?
Yeah, I'm on mute. I was just replying to Vishal. Yes, the labor situation, as well as the restrictions, the overall environment that the government is creating, we are very well aware, and I think that the Commerce Ministry, who we're talking to, this will be part of what we're saying is that whatever they put in place, it should be easy. We shouldn't be sliding back into the old days of, licensing and, very, very complicated, because I think we need to add a bit to a few of these slides, and then we will share this with you. We just suddenly decided this week that we would put this together. But I think that the fear that I'm seeing now that we're talking to more players, and we've been asked, since we are not just considering, we have to look at domestic players, whether they're domestic manufacturing for domestic or the component suppliers. So the issue that we have is the board industry. It's a very big lobby. It's quite a strong lobby, but virtually India does not have very much CARB compliant MDF or plywood. And what we do, I think Green Ply and a couple of other companies are making compliant, but they're so expensive. It's still cheaper to import the product from China. But even when you import it, the problem is the advanced license system exists. Technically it works, but apparently for things like this where you have wastage, it's a problem because there's no way of accounting for the product that you don't export. So it's altogether quite, it's quite complex. So we are now speaking to all stakeholders, including the domestic ply manufacturers. So the furniture committee remains the same. They're not coming on the committee, but we are getting inputs from them. We're also talking to the big domestic retailers, as in, Pepperfry, Home Center, Flipkart, Urban Ladder, even people like Fab India, who've quite a large furniture business. So we're sort of talking to them, and IKEA themselves is interesting because they're an export buyer, but they also they're opening they're due to open their second store in Bombay. It's got delayed because of COVID. And apparently their plan by 2025 is to have quite a lot more stores. Gaurav, do you know how many stores IKEA has planned? Have you been keeping track?
We have planned 7 more stores.
7 was
apart from Bombay, so 7
yeah.
was because
So, and
Bombay.
those are going to be their usual big format stores. So IKEA is committed to being in India. So they're on the panel representing both fairly important export market and also buying for their own retail stores. So, but the Joint Secretary last week, this week, in fact, asked us to make that we are talking to all stakeholders. So what I've suggested on my group, we're going to promote, Gaurav and I will just, finesse this presentation. We're going to share it with BAA. I'd like to just make sure that all of you understand this is for our knowledge and to-dos. I don't want to see big discussion in the market because it's not yet out there. So this needs to be treated as confidential information that's being shared with BAA. If I find, if I start seeing comments in the press and things like that, then we'll have to stop sharing information. So I just want to make sure that everybody's very clear. There is nothing, the politicians are tweeting and doing nothing, let them continue to do it. I would like to request everybody at BAA, we are going to funnel all our comments and our information through the Furniture Committee, which is headed by Vicky. So it will go directly to them. We have a voice and we will be able to really know what's going on. We will continue to share as long as all our members understand that this is not for running around trying to figure something out. It needs to become there needs to be a full policy document. So just use it, to please, let your customers know that India is working on this. That is, of course, acceptable. Get feedback from your customers. Where do they see India? What do they want from India? All of that is absolutely fine. I just don't want to see a lot of discussion and gossip in the Indian market because that will be completely counterproductive. So I hope everybody's clear on that. We are going to share this presentation, because there's quite a few people, and I know we have people like who are quite big players in furniture. Habufa is one of our members, so I will write to him, Amrish, one-on-one, and just say please do share information, and we'll set up an email that you can send information into that will go to Gaurav, Pramod, and myself. And you can just send any thoughts or suggestions, just send it in to us, and we'll include it. And these meetings are happening all the time, so we have to actually get back to the Joint Secretary, DPIIT, next week with our set of proposals which are on raw material, import tariffs, how to do that. What does the domestic market want? What does the export market want? And I think there's one more point. So these are what we're focusing on. But the government has basically said, they've kind of given us almost a blank checkbook and said, just write what you want. Obviously, they're not going to give us what we want in entirety, but that's quite good. So we will definitely take up the ease of doing business, because I think that's an important one to mention now, because India is not known for being easy. So not that we as buying agents are impacted so much, but our vendors and the people who set up in these hubs, they need to be able to grow a big furniture business so that we are cost competitive with the Southeast Asian countries that we are up against. And as you saw the statistics, it's a several $billion business in terms of imports, but India's only exporting 600 million max, which is nothing. It's nothing. It's a tiny, tiny drop in the ocean. So this is the way to go. And obviously, the idea is that the Indian board manufacturers will also upscale and become competitive, because if there's a bigger demand, they should be able to scale up and drop their prices, and that will mean that people don't have to import. But at the moment, the furniture industry cannot get off to any sort of a start if we are dependent only on the domestic market, because it's too expensive. We need to be able to import, and we need to be able to import at very attractive prices so that the final product is competitive. So I think Mr. Ranganathan, Surya, you were going to say something. You had a point. Okay, it was to do with packaging.
Yeah.
You know, that will actually evolve. Anybody who sets up a world-class packaging company factory, export factory for flat pack or semi KD furniture, the packaging, and I imagine that in the furniture hub, I can see that component supplies, including packaging material. But we will certainly add packaging as an important factor. And Mr. Ranganathan, I'm quite happy to share with you later. You can message me who you're working with, because we're working with a lot of factories who are absolutely, their packaging is already pretty well set.
Okay, thank you.
So there are some factories in Jodhpur and I believe Jaipur
Yes,
as well,
yeah.
as well as NCR that are doing quite acceptable packaging.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you.
Christine, I had a point. I had a question. These 6 sectors that you mentioned in your introductory message, are they already sealed or are they in the process of discussion?
No, everything is just, literally what happened was the government is always, looking ahead. As you know, our Prime Minister is constantly saying we need to be self-sufficient, but not in the bad old way that there was, some of you are too young to remember a world that consisted only of ambassador cars. There was a very bad version of the Fiat, but if you wanted a reasonably large car, it was an ambassador. And the reason there were no other cars until, when did Maruti come into play? In
84, I think
1980s. So 84. I was born here in 1959, and the only car on the road was the ambassador. Why? Because everything was closed down and it was make in India, but make in India like the Russian way, which was the Soviet way, which was just give the people just, something with wheels. They can't have a choice. So, we have evolved greatly from that. So the Prime Minister, these are all must be all at exactly the same stages. Sandhya, yeah.
Okay. And what I was just thinking was that at least 2 categories directly impact our group here, because the footwear as well as the furniture are both categories that our members must be working on. So what I would suggest is to just float, like you also said in your answers, that maybe float a mail ID and just ask the members who are players in the footwear and furniture, and them only those limited number of members to give you input in terms of their manufacturing as well as in terms of their export, so that we can drive this more narrowly and get more pertinent sort of feedback and take that feedback to the government.
Absolutely, Sandhya would be very happy to have that. Those inputs. Is there anybody on the call who's active in footwear?
We do quite a bit of footwear, yes.
Okay.
Aristide is handling that sector for us, and we have active factories in NCR and Nagra. So we would be very interested.
Let me work on footwear. I have a few contacts on that committee, and see if we can come in either directly or indirectly. It may be too late to get in directly now, but I can certainly. What happened was that the ministry would have these group calls, and I think they were grouping it by the Chamber of Commerce that was managing it. So footwear, air conditioning, and furniture are all being managed by FICCI.
Okay.
So that was why we were all grouped together. So the first call I got on, I was like, there was like 79 people on a Zoom call with Piyush Goyal. So that was quite interesting.
Quite the number, yeah.
So I would love to know. So Sandhya, do you want to find out who else among our member group is? Can I give you that task? Find out who else is active in footwear, and let's make a small group and see if we can get some traction there.
Yes, I'll start the group, the messaging on the main group itself, and then take it forward once we have the feedback.
Yeah, that would be lovely. Terrific. Thank you.
Yeah. And great presentation, Pramod and Gaurav. A lot of research has gone into doing it. One can see that, one appreciates that. Lot of input from here. and great going. Keep the furniture, the furniture voice from BAA going high.
We've been
Thanks.
working for a fairly long time on this.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Great. So I think if we don't have any other questions, then we can move on to our next agenda point. Thank you so much, Pramod and Gaurav, both for working on this for today. And it indeed is a very, very good insight into how we can develop the furniture business from India. The other point of discussion we had is about the virtual shows and how we feel about the current shows that are being that has been done so far, especially the IFJA show, and we have another one coming up as the textile show. Do we feel it is effective in terms of finding new products or achieving the desired goals of reaching out to our customers as an alternate to the physical shows? Is there anything that we feel needs to be improved upon the shows which we can possibly give to EPCH as our feedback from members saying these are the things we need improvement upon so that the next shows, if not the textile one, then at least the IHGF can have certain changes which can make the show more fruitful for not only the buying agents but for the buyers and the vendors as well. So if anybody has any ideas or any suggestions, please come forward and help us with those.
Can I just add, I'll just add a couple of points to Anshul's intro. I was invited by EPCH to be on a call. Sanjeev and I were on a call. Sanjeev, as you know, is a very active member of our trade fair committee. So Michael was on the morning call. There were two calls actually on Wednesday, I think. And the morning call was basically exporters in Rajasthan, and then the evening call was, I think, the UP group. So a lot of this seems to be according to which how EPCH relates with the exporter associations. But what I saw was quite a change in the exporters' attitude to virtual shows, because a month ago, I was getting frantic calls from exporters saying, how can we do this? It's just not possible. Our showrooms are shut. Everything's shut. So, I mean, I think they've got their mind over it, that this is something that you can do and that you should do. So it's really important that we now interact with our vendors and help them open their minds to the fact that this is the only way. There are going to be no physical shows. We all know High Point is currently they're doing virtual shows, and it's very, very unlikely. It's very unlikely that there's going to be any physical shows this year. I'm still hearing talk that Las Vegas might happen. I'm hearing talk that October High Point may happen. But if they do happen, perhaps very, very small with very little international presence. So I think it's important that we get our minds around, and really, for us, what I'm asking is that we all interact, just send your comments. We send them immediately to BAA. Those of you who are already, to EPCH, and those of you who are already, talking to somebody there, just send them feedback. It's extremely important, but more important is help your vendor base open their minds. So, textiles is going to be the next show. And then, as Anshul said, I think the idea is to try and work out as many glitches as possible at this stage so that the July show is very effective. So good. Did everybody on this call, did each one of you manage to spend a few minutes at IFJAS, or who didn't manage to get to IFJAS?
I didn't.
Yeah. So thanks for being honest. Can I please ask all of you, and please mandate your teams to visit the textile show, if for no other reason, to get your minds around it, because I think even for us, I'm not a very tech person, and I found it quite daunting, and I said, okay, I've got to do it. And I went on the show, and it wasn't bad. There were some very good things available, and some, it's a virtual show has to be presented very differently. So Sanjeev, I don't know if you want to talk a bit, because you were on that call on Wednesday evening.
Yeah, see, I was there almost three days on the IFJA show. And I think this is the same pattern. Rather, they have improved a lot of features on the upcoming shows. And a lot of even my vendors have been calling me sir, this is a virtual show coming. Do you think we should participate? Do you think there will be benefit? So I've been telling them, I feel you should do it. Look at the amount of cost you're spending, just 10 to 15,000 rupees, and look at the platform you're getting. So this is a wonderful platform. I think our vendors should be there. Even most of the buying agents, we should be there, because we get a chance to directly talk to our vendors, direct talk to the buyers, and the search option is very, very convenient. If we have to search by the product, like on a physical show, when we are walking, maybe we are looking for something, we are not able to find it. Either we have to go through the directory of the show. But here the search is so fast. We are able to find any product, and I think we need to do this. The July show will be a bigger one, and I think that was a homework which they did with IFJAS, and it was quite successful.
I can say that I've been talking to my colleagues in Sweden, and they are very excited about this show next week. I do not know how it's going to work, but they are all blocking times for 2 to 3 hours to get into the shows, because there is a, as I think sometime back we discussed, there is a huge buzz about India sustainability, and then when they think of sustainability, they think about India.
Correct. Swatantra, I believe you have something to say. I see your raised hand. Swatantra, you'd have to unmute yourself, please.
Yes, can you hear me now? This was pertaining to the IFJA show. One thing I wanted to make a suggestion was, let's say if I am in a chat with an exporter or with the customer, and we've chatted on certain things, and now the next day we want to resume that chat. So whenever I go and see, all my chats go like they are deleted. So at least the trade fair organizer or the team should ensure that the chat stays there for those particular number of days, at least those 4 days, so that you don't you can pick up from the previous stock and then move further. Because once you are logged out, the whole chat is also logged out, and you can't come back to it.
So what you're saying, let me just understand, Swatantra, when you're on, while you're logged in, the chat's there. The minute you log out, I mean, what I did, because I found was a little bit wobbly, was that I just stayed logged in for the whole time. I didn't log myself out.
So that was good.
From day to day.
But
we will share this with the. Do we have Ankit on the call, Anshul?
Yes, we do.
Yeah. If you could just take a note, we'll forward this to the team. And one other thing is that EPCH is actively, they've got a filter in for Indian IPA, what do you call it, IP addresses.
Yeah, IP.
Yeah, so for Indian IP, so they don't want just the whole junta trolling the show. So what we are doing is we are sending forward from BAA our entire member list. And if you want to make sure that your colleagues and your employees have no problem, please send your list of people who are going to attend, just their name and their email ID. We're forwarding it to EPCH. We have a hotline, and they will clear them immediately. So there'll be no delays, because I know we had problem logging, registering and logging on. It was taking too long for IFJAS, so they're making sure that there's a clear channel. Anybody from a foreign IP address, no problem. So buyers will not experience any delays, but they don't want the whole, they don't want all the Indian traders at the show. Particularly, they want to know who is coming to the show. It is an export, it is a largely export focused show. So they made that clear in the call that they are going to have filters for Indian IPs. So please just send your thing, send it to info@BA. We're just forwarding it straight away, but we have the right contact at EPCH to make sure that all our members registrations go through smoothly.
Let me also answer Swatantra's question. Like what he said, that the chat, the first day what he's chatting is deleted the second day, or maybe once he logs out, right? This is what you said?
Yes.
Swatantra, see, the EPCH has given an option of directly communicating with the exhibitor or the buyer or whosoever is the attendee through they have given a link of WhatsApp chat, Skype chat, Zoom call, all those options are there. So if you are already on the WhatsApp chat with the exhibitor or anyone, then that doesn't get deleted. However, this even I found that the chat gets deleted, which, as Christine said, will bring it to their notice, and if they can work on it for future shows.
Thank you, Sujeev. I hope it's answered, Swatantra. I think that's satisfactory.
Yeah.
Nitinji, you'd like to say something?
Yeah, I also had similar issues with the chat. So we can maybe suggest EPCH that they can allow us to export the chat in the evening before we log out.
No, you are allowed to download your chat. You know, like you can
No, but then I think it should be little prompt driven, because I couldn't find that method. I had a booth also, but it was not easy then. So they need to put a prompt before log out that export your chat or whatever. So that I couldn't find it.
It is rather, like
So
there is not a
basically, it's a
download
training
option
issue
there.
then.
It is like you have to
Training
copy
issue
the whole,
basically.
you have to copy the whole chat and then paste it into your Word or somewhere.
Yeah. Or maybe we can tell EPCS to conduct a training session for the booth holders also.
Nitin, what I think I'll do is I'm going to introduce you to Tushar, who the guy who's handling all the tech points at EPCH,
Yeah.
and maybe you speak to him directly with all the points. And Anshul, can we just put a note on our members group that anybody experienced any issues, just quickly send them so that we can clear it, because the next show starts in 3 days on the 15th.
Yeah.
So it'd be nice to rule them out.
I had already spoken to Tushar on the first day itself when I had this problem, but he says that they are unable to rectify it at the moment. Let's see if they can do it for the next.
Okay, let's try again, and then we'll let you know, Swatantra. But at least you should be able to save your chat and up. I mean, you should be at least be able to export your chat, so you have the record. That's a very good point.
Because as a booth, we had a buyer who shared his number, and when we went back again, we couldn't trace it. So as a booth owner also, there was a problem.
Fair enough. Any other points? So one of the things is we are going to give a contact point. In fact, there were other technical issues also that were reported, that people were not able to log in and things like that. So I do think EPCH needs to put tele-contact points, not email contacts, because IT support email did not work fast enough during the show. So we would ask EPCH to give us telephone contact points where members or anybody could touch base to get the issues resolved quickly. Anything else as a suggestion that anybody has?
And one more suggestion when you introduced Tushar to me is that when the visitors' names are they're on the window, it should be clearly marked that he's a stall owner, booth owner, or he's a visitor, because sometimes a lot of booth owners would enter you can't identify with that. So identification is not good. You don't, as a viewer, I didn't know this guy is a buyer or this guy is a booth owner. So this also we should tell them to identify them properly.
Nitin, if it was totally identified, like
No.
whichever I saw, I clicked
somewhere
on
only
right
the name.
column.
Yeah.
No, it is mentioned on the type of visitor. It is written overseas buyer, domestic volume buyer.
No, only when you click it. Only when you click it. But when you see when you see the list, some it is mentioned, some it is not mentioned. So I think they can manage that. Before clicking, I'm saying when you see the list, it's not you can't identify who the person is.
Maybe because of lack of space or something. But when you click it, you get the entire bio.
When you click it, you get it, but not as a list.
Yeah.
Because what I saw, there was a lot of support people. I chatted for support. I got immediately response because I knew Arvinder. He is a support guy. So if they write, support, so we know whom to contact for support also. Just a, suggestion. If they can do it, they can do it.
I would also like to make another suggestion. Just in case, let's say I'm on an exporter's booth, and I have selected, let's say, necklaces from his downloaded profile. There is a case, there is a briefcase there which you can click. It's in black in color, and when you click it, like it becomes gray. That means that you've liked a particular product, and you can go back and refer to it as and when you have the time. So same thing now, let's say when you go back after 2 hours, 3 hours, and you go into your briefcase and have a look, the briefcase should only be showing those items which you have selected, you have individually selected. Whereas that briefcase has n number of items there. The exporters have the privilege of sending their items into your briefcase as well, which should be discouraged. Because I have not selected the briefcase of a particular exporter. I've only selected for the one that I needed. So my briefcase should only contain the virtual, the brief items which I selected, and not which anybody else can just put into my briefcase. So this also I discussed with Tushar, and he said that, probably this will also be taken care of in the next show.
Fair enough. So then what I suggest is if you could document your concerns down to info@ba.org. So when Nitinji speaks with EPCH, we can make one combined document for all our members' concerns and forward them and ensure that we follow up to get them resolved.
Okay.
Thank you. Anything else from anybody vis-a-vis the shows?
Anshul, it's not about the show, but I have a general question to put up to the larger group. So once everyone's done regarding the discussion of the show, then I would like to speak for a minute.
Sure, not a problem, Sandhya. I believe nobody has any other questions, so you can actually go forward and share with everybody.
Thank you. Thank you, Anshul. So basically, the question that I wanted to ask is that I have been receiving a couple of messages from our customers where they are asking us to give a guarantee that the factory does not have any COVID positive patient in their premises. So yes, so this is the kind of query I've received from our customers, and our vendors are being asked to send that as part of the documents. Has anyone received such a request? Number one. And number two, they are also asking the third-party inspectors to perhaps conduct a COVID inspection in the factories while they are doing the compliance audits. So does anyone have any information on these?
Sandhya, you said the buyers are requesting for this declaration?
Yes, some of our customers have asked. That's right.
So
I can tell you none of my buyers have asked any such thing. So I don't think it's a matter of a compliance or a generic policy from across the board. But some may probably be asking it just out of caution.
I think they're just getting worried because obviously the numbers of India are also being talked about in the global media. And when they hear of all this in Europe in terms of the migration problem or in the terms of increasing numbers, so they are all very cautious and they're just worried about the new orders being placed. So they're saying systematically, if you could just keep giving us a certification to say that, this particular factory doesn't have any COVID positive case. So we've just got this request from two of our customers just yesterday. So I wanted to know if this was something that any of you have encountered.
Can I just put one point across on this, Sandhya? What I would suggest you do is go back to your customers to understand what is the import of this exercise. Because if they're worried about the virus being transmitted from India to their places, it's not going to happen.
No,
you need to
it's
you need to convince them the virus doesn't last more than 24 hours on a product.
No, I think, sorry, I'll interrupt. I'm sure the worry is whether or not this factory is going to get shut down and be able to produce. They're more concerned about, future, what's going to happen if they place the order what happens in a month's time? Is that factory going to suddenly just be out of business?
Correct. It's more about a caution call than anything else. Of course, they understand that the virus is not going to be imported. I mean, exported from India.
Sandhya, even then, I would say you would need to convince them, because at the end of the day, how can anybody write a certificate saying there is, I mean, today there may be no COVID person in the factory, but they cannot say that in the next 120 days or 90 days, there will be not a single COVID patient in the factory.
It is a dated certificate, no, Anchal. So obviously when he
So they're
gives a
only wanting to know
certification,
कि
it's as of now. Correct. That means when
I
I'm
mean, you
dealing
can
with
just you can just take it on the factory's letterhead. What else?
No, Manoj, I'm doing that. I just wanted to know if any one of us were more customers also feeling the same. I know, of course, how we will handle
Not
it.
at all.
No,
Not at all.
Sandhya, I would like to add, do you think is it product specific? Does it have anything to do with any particular product that you're doing that they are kind of...
No, Tanya, I've got it
because
for
obviously again, the virus is not going to be exported, but...
it's on home textile products, Tanya. So it is, and it's coming from two French customers, two different customers, and getting it on the same day from two customers was something that it sort of kind of just raised my guard a bit. I said, what's happening? And also they sent a message, because we have a lot of audits, as I've already brought this topic up, I think a couple of weeks back. The audits are due for some of the factories. So they are saying, while you get the audit done, you please also get, there is a new a page that they're adding, which is a COVID audit, COVID compliance. Is being asked to the third party, audits. So maybe Sanjeev has some light to throw on that. Are you being asked by any of your customers to get that? Is there any specific query that they have in terms of COVID compliance as well?
We are also asking our suppliers about COVID preparation, so that how are they preparing in case there is an infection, social distancing, what are they planning? We are also talking to them all about it in the compliance side of things, but nothing to do with to give a certificate of that they have cases or not.
Yes, Sandhya, for us also, we did not find any customer saying that we need a certificate. However, whenever they speak that how are the vendors doing. One point is right, Mrs. Rice. Point was that they are concerned whether they are going to deliver the goods or not. The other thing, what happened in the month of April with one of the US customer was that there was a buzz in US that the COVID virus stays on the cardboard for more than 2 weeks. So that was a big buzz in whole of the market, and we could give them the links where they said that on the cardboard it stays for 72 hours to 1 week. That was a thing. So while it is shipped, it is still there. So that was one case which I remember. Else, everyone has spoken about it just out of curiosity, but never asked for a certificate.
Moreover, right now, there is no certification that has come up, although EPCH is working on a compliance code on this, but they haven't rolled that out yet. So it probably is just a query as a matter of caution. So vendors, I'm sure, will support you if the buyers are being a little fussy on that. And what we can do is I'll check with my French customers and get back to you if they have had any mandate from their authorities centrally to ask for such a certificate or anything. So if that is the case, then maybe, and I'll let you know about that.
Thank you, Anchal. No, I think it's
Sandhya, just to ask, are they refusing a factory self-certification certificate? Because I would say that what I would do, the only thing that I can think, and that's what I'm hearing from everybody else, is the factory should have a kind of COVID protocol document. So if you attach that with a factory's current self-certification that says currently we confirm that we have no COVID positive workers, and they maybe just add that they are checking, they're obviously following the protocol, which is daily, hourly checking. I don't know, maybe you should have a dialogue with the customer and get to the bottom of what they're looking for. And we'll also ask other, Anshul will check with her French client. I will ask a few people what is being asked, how they're coping with it?
I think, Christine, they're just looking as of now for a self-attested certificate just to confirm that the factory as of now is currently free. Obviously, even tomorrow, we don't know if the situation would be the same, right? So anybody who's employing 100 plus workers, how can we be sure? So the factory in their own, of course, sort of space would give that certificate. But I think it's just a question of being cautious. I'll, of course, have a word with them on Monday. I'll just give them some time. I've sent a couple of mails. So, but just wanted to bring it onto the large group to understand that are others as well facing this kind of queries. But coming to the larger point of, I think, COVID compliance, it's true that we all need to think of it and perhaps have a system in place and guide our factories and handhold with them and just tell them that, of course, they're all practicing the norms now. But in case they have to be following up on the, in terms of certification, then yes, they might have to go through that, one questionnaire and upload a few pics to confirm that they are compliant.
Yeah, I think Sandhya, most of the bigger factories have really put together very good in-house, protocol documents. So that would probably help if you could share that. And if the factory doesn't have one, get them to make one pretty quickly. Sure. And then what we can do is we could go back to EPCH and just ask them what their plan is for, they're all focused on virtual shows. So I think that this compliance, common compliance has slightly taken aside, it's on the siding at the moment, but we could ask them if they have anything that they could, is there anybody who could help you if your customers insist on something more official?
Yeah, no, I have a few factories, Christine, who've already, I've got that document. So yes, I'll guide the others.
I think so. You may have to just guide them and say, you need to put this in place and you need to do it. It's not just making the PowerPoint. It is actually following it in their way of working. And I'm hoping your textile factories are hopefully a bit more organized.
No, they are. Thank you. They are.
In fact, this is one of the points that we've been wanting to also share. One of the things that we all as buying agents also do need to do with our vendors, and especially the smaller ones, obviously the larger factories are more equipped to deal with this, is to give them the awareness. Some of the people are doing things but not documenting them. The moment a proper compliance comes into force, the first thing they will look at is documenting the efforts made during the compliance procedure. So this is something that I have shared with all my vendors, and I think most of them have started doing it. And we may just be the people who will have to give them the roadmap as to how we want to do this, whereby each part of the process in terms of how material is coming in or how people are coming in, or how social distancing is being maintained, or how food and different facilities are being carried out. These things, and the sanitization processes, temperature checking, all of these things need to start being maintained as documents, because the moment compliance comes into place, there is no compliance if there is no documentation.
Yeah, how do we prove it?
How do you prove it that you were compliant? So correct. I've been telling all my vendors, and quite a few of them have actually started doing this, whereby they are taking roll calls at different points in time, maintaining temperature checks. We've shared with them a format on which, whenever the sanitization happens, who's going to sanitize needs to sign off there. The supervisor is supposed to sign off there to ensure that the compliance is actually happening. Obviously, you cannot map at different points in time ki social distancing manage ho rahi hai, nahi ho rahi hai, because that's a separate thing, because you can only take pictures, but then you're not going to keep around taking pictures all day.
Yeah, message taken, correct, absolutely. Yeah, it's true. It needs to be documented. All the efforts need to be substantiated by proof.
Absolutely. Christine, you want to say something?
Thank you.
Yeah, I was going to say, do you think it'd be helpful if we put a page, do we have a page on our website where we can just upload different formats and different things that people are using? Manoj, is that something we can do?
I'm sorry, Christine.
Do we have the capability at the moment to just dedicate a page on our website where we could just upload so people can just view them and use formats?
Yeah, we can do that. But see, my take on it is, actually the government compliance itself is very tough if you look at it for the factories to follow, essentially. And factories are feared right now that they don't want even inspectors to come and inspect products in their factories because they fear that they can get shut down and they cannot ship products. So, and I have been hearing from some factories that the compliance is being asked to be followed post-COVID by some of the agencies are not even practical for them. So I don't know, we touch that? We can put it on our website, and the general compliances, I think all factories are following it.
Manoj, I would say that the danger is that a lot of factories are not following. I like the idea of small checklists that we actually give them. I just think if anybody has, my question was, do we have like that capability? So if anybody comes up with a clever thoughts, we could just have a COVID page, just COVID precautions, more for sharing, and it should be only visible to our members. Manoj, do we have that capability?
We can do that. That's not a problem. But I think we all are aware of the general precautions already. I mean, there is nothing special that we can put on our website. That's what I feel.
No, what I'm thinking about is a lot of factories have put together very good, simple documents, not super complicated ones. And Anshul mentioned a checklist. So if she's created a checklist, she could share that. I mean, what I feel is when we put stuff out on emails, it doesn't go anywhere. So if we just have it on the website, somebody's looking for it. So we can put a note on our members group that we've created this space, and that we'll be uploading periodically just suggestions, anything that somebody's doing. And if we do hear about certification, we could put it there. So I just wasn't sure if we have that capability yet on our website to do that.
Probably we can do it.
Perfect.
Probably we can do it, but my opinion is that the factories are following the government compliance, which itself is quite tough, to be honest. The 6 feet distancing in the factories is possibly in places like Moradabad is not possible to be followed also. Absolutely. And if we talk about bigger furniture factories where 2 people have to handle a large piece of furniture, how can you do that when they have to polish a large dining table, which is 6 feet maximum?
Absolutely.
I mean, practically, it's not possible.
It's not
so
possible.
All general precautions that are to be followed are wearing a mask, sanitizing workers in and out of the factories, documenting them. All those things, generally, even the smallest factories are doing.
Ma'am, I agree with Manoj because our factories also are following it, and they have a government check in a week or a fortnight. There is a government officer who is coming and checking and giving us signed documents saying that, okay, you are following it. Otherwise, there are official orders that they can shut the factory. They have the rights to shut the factory. RICO is getting it done. So in the industrial area. So maybe Sandhya, you can ask your vendors if the government officials are coming and checking it.
Yes, they are, Pramod. They are.
I mean, some of the larger factories are not even allowing us to do inspections now. But they are saying that, and we are sorry, we cannot afford it. You can do online inspections, because they fear if a single case comes inside the factory, they have to close the factory. And they have to move shipments out.
Yeah, it depends from zone to zone, Manoj. But for example, Moradabad, it's a big no-no, and South is welcoming. They are asking us to come, even if we are hesitant, but they really want us to come and do inspections. So, it really depends from zone to zone and how bad the number of cases are. But I guess we all need to.
It also depends how much backlog the factory has to ship.
Yes.
Because if a factory is shipping 2 containers a day, they cannot afford to get a single day shut.
Of course.
Down in their factory. So they are actually following much more than we are thinking. If they're not even allowing inspectors to visit, just imagine.
True.
So
the kind of precautions they are taking.
Perhaps maybe then just if, if Anshul doesn't mind, the checklist sounds like a really good idea, because I think the factories have got all the processes, and if we really want to make sure it's being done, how do you know it's being done? Because we are not physically there. And I'm not sure that they all have their CCTV cameras. So, Anshul, do you
I visited a factory twice in Panipat. They're not letting me go inside the factory premises without a mask and without
That's good.
sanitizer.
I'm glad to hear that.
The guard was like, clear, sorry, we cannot do it. Whosoever you can be. They are like being very strict on these things.
Christine, are you there still?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
So I think that's the matter. So any which ways, Manoj, even if you put this up on the website, you can't put it for restricted view to members only, because right now it will be viewable by everybody because we
Yeah.
don't have the login facility yet, right?
Yes.
Done, done. So that being
We
it,
can probably put a tracker on the website, which is coming in and going.
I think maybe we'll discuss this a little bit more before we execute this one. So let's
Yeah.
have a chat a little bit more on this. Guys, just to remind all of you, we have our elections coming up next week. So I request all of you to participate in exercising your democratic right on BA for voting. So we have sent out all the manifestos and everything. So please choose your candidates and let's have more energy from people on board BA. We are definitely looking at more active members to be a part of the BA team. Obviously, this time there is not a possibility of more people getting added to the GB, but then obviously work speaks 1,000 words, I would say. And when we are actually truly working for BA, we would like you to be also a part of the team in the future. So please get connected to us, do more, share more, take more initiatives. We absolutely love to have more people initiating more things and taking more efforts to make our organization and our association a stronger one. On that note, I would say we're already 1.5 hours into our meeting, so maybe all of us should get back to our respective work. Christine, anything that you'd like to close with?
No, I was just going to say I have to leave now as well. I have to be somewhere at 1:30.
Yes.
So thanks all. As Anshul said, it's not just joining the GB. What we'd like is for any suggestions, members who would like to be actively involved in the different committees or even suggest committees. It's not a closed book. We are absolutely welcome your thoughts and suggestions. Please put them either on the members group or email to info@baa.org.in. And we look forward to seeing you soon. Our AGM is going to be next Friday. Yeah. So as everybody, I hope everybody's got the emails, but just reminding that voting will start, it's electronic polling, will start next Thursday. It's open for 24 hours. And then on next Friday, evening will be our AGM. It will be a virtual AGM, and then we will follow it by a GB meeting where whoever is voted. So at the AGM, we will announce the results of the polling, and then we follow it immediately with a with the GB meeting with whoever has been elected. So we hope to see you all there, and please put the word out. I think everybody knows at least 2 other members, so please get the word out. We want full turnout at our AGM, please.
All right.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for joining.
Thank you, everyone. Pleasure.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.